Please. And I see Dana has joined us. Welcome, Dana. Okay, I think we're good now. Apparently, I am screen sharing now. So we are beginning a new chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Exciting moment. Chapter 4, which in our edition is titled Jnana Yoga, Path of Knowledge. The previous chapter was primarily focusing on Karma Yoga, the yoga of action, path of action, selfless action to be precise, and now going to knowledge. So let's dive in. And we're set up here. We can hear Srila Govinda Maharaj chanting in his divine vibration. Playing. What? What's that?
Hari Om Tat Sat. Chaturthodhyaya Jnana Yoga Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Imang Vivasate Yogam Praktavanaham Abhayam Vivasyan Manave Praha Manurikha Kavi Bravi Evang Parampara Praptam Imang Raja Sayo Vidu Sakale Nehamahata Yogo Nasta Parantapa Saivayang Maya Tejya Yoga Prakta Svana Puratana Bhakto Shime Sakha Cheti Rahasang Chetaduttamam Arjuna Vacha Aparang Bhavatu Janama Parang Janama Vivasata Kathavi Tad Vijani Yang Tamadu Praktavaniti Sri Bhagavan Vacha Bahuni me batitani janamani tapacharjuna tanahang veda sarvani nattang vittha parantapa ayopi sannabhayatma bhutanami sarupishan prakriting swam adhisthaya sambhavami atma mayaya yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhutthanam dharmasya Tadatmanam sriyamaham paritrānāya sadhūnāṁ vināṣāya ca duskritāṁ dharma samsthapanārthāya sambhavāmi yuge yuge janma karma ca me dibbam evaṁ jo vetti tattata tattādeham punarjanama naiti māmeti sorjuna vītarāga bhayo krodha Manmaya Mamupasrita Bhavo Jnana Tapasa Puja Mad Bhavamagata.
Okay, so let's chant those verses all together, going from 1 to 10. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. So this uvacha is referring to speaking, and so I think most of you know that or worked it out by now. But so you'll see sometimes it's a conversation, right? That's something that we want to bear in mind. It's a record, but we can see Bhagavad Gita in that light. Of course, we can see it as a scripture and so on and so forth. But on one level, it's just a loving conversation, and this book is a record of that, between the Lord and his beloved friend, the Lord posing as a humble chariot driver of his beloved friend, Arjuna. And so it's a conversation going back and forth. And a couple months ago, I think we might have discussed a little how it's really nice when you're listening to Srila Govinda Maharaj chanting these verses, you sometimes get a sense of that. He's not just like in a generic way reciting the verses in the way that we might, but because he knows Sanskrit and he has feeling for the conversation as well, you can hear sometimes how his tone changes And he's actually, it's like he's reading a book in a sense, and he knows what's going on, and there are different emotions that are being conveyed in different statements and different tones, and so it's pretty cool. Once I just started noticing it. It was like end of last year sometime, and I just had a whole new layer of appreciation for these recordings, audio recordings that we have. So yeah, so Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Krishna said, and then Arjuna Uvacha, Arjuna's response. Okay. and also, right, we want to remember too, Arjuna is representing all of us, and Krishna's actually speaking all of these instructions for our benefit, with affection. So there's very much a personal element here in Bhagavad Gita, and we want to keep that in mind. In some of our songs, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he kind of tries to really convey that, like, the Lord's here for you. It's something he mentions repeatedly in at least 2 or 3 different songs I can think of at the top of my head. Ami bina bandhu ar kya chetumar. Like, other than me, who's your friend? I'm your real friend. Bhaktivinoda is expressing the Lord's words. I'm your best friend. I'm here for you. So there's loving search for the lost servant, right? This is one of our beautiful book titles. The Lord's loving search for the lost servant. It's a real thing. It's a campaign. It's a real campaign. Okay. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Imam vivashvate yogam proktavanam aham avyayam vivashvan manave praha manorikshva kave bravit. We'll mix things up a bit. I'll just read these. The Supreme Lord said, I imparted this imperishable yoga of knowledge achieved by selfless action to Surya, the presiding deity of the sun. Surya taught it to his son Vaivasvata Manu, who passed it on to his son Ikshvaku. Now, I just want to check, because the way that Krishna's speaking here, it sounds like he already started this line of thought in the previous chapter. So I'm just going to quickly take a look. What were the last words in the previous chapter, chapter 3? No. He concluded discussing these different layers of the mind, the intellect, the ego, and so on. So, okay, he's introducing a new topic in something of a grand way. It's kind of like a nice build up here. So I imparted this knowledge, this yoga of knowledge to Surya Dev, the sun god. Surya taught it to his son Vaivasvata Manu, who passed it on to his son Ikshvaku. Evam parampara praptam nimam vajarshayo vidu sakalene hamata yogo nashta parantapa. O conqueror of the enemy. And it's also nice to see like how Krishna and Arjuna, their intimacy is kind of coming across here. They're addressing each other in different ways, expressing their appreciation in different ways. And so here, Krishna is referring to Arjuna as conqueror of the enemy. How is that here? Parantapa, subduer of the enemy. So they have these like sweet names for each other, or terms of affectionate, respectful, endearing terms. So it's very nice to observe that also. O conqueror of the enemy, thus the saintly kings such as Nimi, Janak, and others learned this yoga, which was passed down to them by disciplic succession. But in the course of time, this teaching has been lost. Saivayam maya tedya yogo prakta paratanaha bhakto sime sakacheti rahasyam yetarutamam. As you are my devotee and friend, I now reveal to you the supreme secret, the eternal yoga. So again, this personal, affectionate element here. Bhakto sime saka chitti. The saka is referring to friend. Oh, my friend. Arjuna uvacha. Aparam bhavato janma param janma vivashvataha katam metad vijaniyam dhammado proktavaniti. Arjuna said, Vivashvan, the sun god, was born in ancient times, long before you were. Therefore, how am I to consider that you previously gave these teachings to him? So Arjuna's, again, he's representing all of us, and it's kind of like a silly question that we might have, right? Well, hang on a second. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam veda parantapa. The Supreme Lord said, O chastiser of the enemy, both you and I have passed through many births. I can remember all of them, whereas you, O Arjuna, cannot. Yeah, just a few things. And I see Subhasini Didi has just joined us. Always honored to have you. And we had a few others, Lynn and Danny and Bogota. And Garasa Didi also joined. Welcome, everyone. Subhasini Didi, are you okay? You've got your camera on, so you can interact with us today. That's great. Dandavad.
Love to hear from you.
Oh, well, maybe you can lead our reading the next few verses. But I'll just mention yeah, a few things here to mention. One is if we look at this verse 2, how there's this constant need for fresh revelation, right? Because in this mundane plane, there is because it's an atmosphere of exploitation, there's constantly an energy of vibration of degradation, right? Or actually Sridhar says the enervating plane, but not so many people know what that means. But it's referring to this things becoming degraded, diminished, right? And so the truth comes, right? The Lord, the great saints, they come, the scriptures, right? Of course, the scriptures can be interpreted in many ways, right? That's the problem. But so the Lord and the saints, they come, they give fresh, vibrant revelation, but simply by the influence of time, this atmosphere, things become confused, right? Or lost. And so there's this constant need for fresh revelation. And this is a build-up to a key verse of Bhagavad Gita, which is just coming in just a little bit. And then another thing I wanted to mention also. Oh, just one thing. Our Gurudev, I had the good fortune to spend some years there before our Gurudev left this world in 2010, and so we had the privilege that we used to get to sit with him in the morning, and all these things were just like part of the air. It's not like, okay, we're sitting down to have a Bhagavad Gita class, but it was just part of the air that he breathed, and so often we'd hear him mention little side thoughts that would come to him about Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures and other ideas, right? And but I remember one morning he was kind of joking about this verse here and saying well, first he was like kind of laughing just at the whole setup, like they're in the middle of a battlefield and having this deep philosophical conversation. And then he was mentioning about this verse and saying how like Kṛṣṇa is saying, like, it's better that you don't remember, actually. You've been through so many births and I can remember them, and I can handle that. And for you, it's better that you don't remember all these previous births, right? just think about it. And I actually don't understand. I see it's a common thing. People like to look into their past lives, but actually, if we could really see everything that we've been through in all of our previous lives, it would be too much. It would be shameful, because no doubt we've done so many things which we would rather not know that we did. Already there's so much we have to process in this lifetime, right? What to speak of so many previous ones. So just one little remembrance of our Gurudev's comments. And so here, now in these next verses, perhaps this is the first time where Krishna is clearly revealing his divinity. Maybe Suvasini Didi can confirm that. Is Suvasini still with us here? Okay, yeah, she's here. Yes.
Yes.
I'm wondering, maybe this
I
is
also
the first time, that Krishna is like just saying it, right? Just coming out with it. This is who I am.
Yeah, I think this is the first place, probably. Yeah, he's saying, I'm the Lord of all beings. So probably this. I think like that. Yeah, I don't think there's before that he didn't say anything clearly about himself. Yeah.
And yeah, I was just going to mention, it's kind of a curious thing, because Arjuna, he's under the influence of his particular relationship with Krishna, and technically that's described as Sakya rasa. Sakya is friendship. So he has this relationship of loving friendship with Krishna, and so that blinds him actually to Krishna's divinity. And so here in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's like, and this is also because it's part of the overall message that Krishna's giving and the overall discussion. Krishna's just coming out and saying, well, this is who I am. So Suvasini, will you lead us in chanting these verses 6 to 10? And you can
Sure.
read the English as well, together or afterwards, whatever is flowing for you.
Okay. I'll just take the page here. So number 5, okay, it's okay, from 6, yeah? Okay. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishuropi san prakritim swam adhishtaya sambhavami atmamayaya. Although my eternal form is transcendental to birth and death, and I am the Lord of all beings, I appear within the world in my divine nature, by my sweet will extending my internal potency. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir-bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. O Bharata, whenever there is a decline of religion and an uprising of irreligion, I personally make my advent. Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. I appear age after age to deliver the saintly devotees, vanquish the miscreants, and firmly establish true religion. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti so Arjuna. O Arjuna, one who comes to know thus the truth of my pastimes of divine birth and activities does not undergo rebirth. After giving up this body, he attains me. My grace is revealed to him as my personal, transcendental, joyful potency, Hladini Shakti. His heart is melted in divine love and he attains my eternal devotional service. Vitaraha bayakroda manmaya mam upashitaha bahavo jnana tapasa puta mad bhavam agataha. Free from attachment, fear, and anger, Many persons have taken shelter in me, absorbing their hearts in my services, hearing, chanting, and remembering. Purified by knowledge and the fire of ordeal in my service, they attained divine love for me. Okay, that's
Okay, thank you, Didi. Any comments you'd like to make on those verses? Oh, geez, wait, you're muted. It looked like you were saying something. Were you saying something? It looked like your mouth is moving.
oh, sorry. Yeah. No, actually, and I was just saying this two verses, number 7 and 8, that's quite well quoted, this yada yada hi dharmasya and paritranaya sadhunam, like the Lord making his advent, that the reason, like, when there is a decline of religion and uprising of irreligion, and also to deliver the saintly devotees, give pleasure to the saintly devotees and vanquish the miscreants. So he's actually, these two verses, many times we see they are quoted here. And also, yeah. And this verse, actually, number 9, because this is, the verse, like, this is very, sometimes, I also don't know very much about this, because, we know, like, if somebody knows the truth of his pastimes of divine birth and activities, does not undergo rebirth. So this verse is actually, it's more deeper, isn't it, in that way? It is not just knowing the truth, it just sometimes, it's hard to understand. I would like to hear from you more about this, because it is not just like just knowing is, this divine birth and power, we know about all those activities, but it is not just knowing. It just be more, isn't it?
I heard Srila Govinda Maharaj give a very wonderful explanation of this verse once. And he said, maybe I even have it noted down here what his exact words were. But he explained that what it meant was understanding the understanding the inner and understanding the substance of Krishna consciousness, understanding what real Krishna consciousness is. And what is reality, you could say. Having a substantial vision of reality. He explains it like that. And he gave a very nice example. But let me see if I wrote down exactly what his words were. No, I just noted down what his example was, but he emphasized this word tattvata, which is truth, the reality. Right? So one who has some clear vision of what is actual reality. And he gave this very nice example of you will recall, Subhasanjiti, maybe some others here too. This very nice story. Very prominent disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj was his name. Very powerful preacher in the Gaudiya Math, in the Gaudiya mission. And he, on one occasion, Saraswati Thakur, he instilled this very revolutionary view of what real Krishna consciousness is, what real religion is, right? And so there was this one occasion, he was Bhakti Saranga Goswami, they were preaching in, I think it was Kashmir, and they had different events, and they're on the road traveling one place to another, and many of you will have experienced it can be difficult to find food, that is up to your normal standards when you're traveling, right? And so on one occasion, there are no local people that they know in the area, and so they stop at some type of restaurant, and they're having lunch there, but it's not like a pure sattvic place, and they're eating some vegetable preparations, rice and dal, and there's some onions in some of the preparations, and which normally we don't take in our temples. And so one of the members of this preaching party, one of the brahmacharis, he was a little disturbed, and he exclaimed, "Oh, there are onions here, there are onions." And Bhakti Saranga Goswami, he had this higher Paramahamsa vision, right? Who was the Paramahamsa who can extract the essence in every situation. And so Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, he said, "Oh, you are seeing onions, but I am seeing Mahaprasad. I am seeing Mahaprasad, right? I'm seeing this is directly the mercy of the Lord, right? You're seeing it with a material vision. Oh, this is impure, right? This is not up to a Brahminical standard. But I'm seeing that we are here engaged in the Lord's service. We're hungry. We need to nourish our bodies. And this is what has come. So this is Krishna's mercy. And okay, materially speaking, may be considered impure by Vedic standard. It had some onions or garlic. But this is actually of a divine nature, because this is what the Lord has sent us. So this was his vision. And our Gurudev said, this is tattvata, like this is seeing the reality. This is substantial vision, So we can say, like, looking past the objective environment, what's the physical, mundane aspect of the circumstances, and seeing what is the subjective element. What's the conscious connection? What's the connection in consciousness? That's what's being referred to here. And on a more straightforward level, if we're just looking at this verse in a literal sense, then we can go into a discussion, right, about how Krishna, because this can be difficult for people to understand. How can God have parents, and how can he take birth, and how can he have ordinary human-like activities, right? Because normally in the traditional God conception, there's no janma. Janma is birth, right? So that's already revolutionary for people. What, God takes what? What are you talking about? That's not God. God's just existing eternally, right? Like Vishnu. Vishnu's like that. He doesn't have parents. Vishnu's just so majestic and amazing, and he's got 4 arms. He doesn't take birth, right? And so this is already difficult for people, like, oh, Krishna takes birth. And karma, his activity here, karma just means action or activities. He has ordinary human-like activities. And now, interestingly, so we were mentioning yesterday in our meeting with Suvasanji, our next text is going to be Upadeshamrita. And in Upadeshamrita, Rupa Goswami just kind of boldly gives what is the Gaudiya view on this, the Gaudiya Vaishnava view, the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They see it in just the opposite way. That if there's no janma, there's no birth, that means there's no rasa. No rasa means there's no variety in the relationships. If there's no birth, that means there's a deficiency in the rasa, because that's a whole other relationship that's missing, the relationship of the parent, right? That's a whole world. That's a whole that's a very unique and special type of love, right? That someone can love God like their own son. So it's incomplete if it's incomplete rasa, it's incomplete nectar, incomplete relationships, the full spectrum of relationships not available if there's no Janma. So the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they see it in just the other way. And they say, well, hang on, actually Krishna's most complete in rasa. Krishna is the most complete expression of divinity because he has a Janma Leela. And it's important we throw in this word Leela, right? Because Leela is indicating it's his play, it's his posing. It's not that he needs to take birth, but that's his play. That's a part of the drama. That's so that there's space for more rasa. It's not that it's taking place by biological necessity, but it's by necessity of Leela and the exchange of love, right? This is the idea. And so you know, in a straightforward, literal way, in the context here in Gita, that's what Krishna is saying here. Like, don't be fooled. You know, don't dismiss me because, and you can also say, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj also says this, Krishna is speaking kind of shamelessly about himself. He's like, hey, you need to understand, I'm God, you know? Not for his own ego, but just in a very sincere way. You know, like a parent will say, I'm your mother, listen to me for your own good, right? So Krishna is kind of pleading for his own case here, on his own behalf here, which is a little funny, a little shameless. So yeah, Krishna is saying, don't be fools. Just because I apparently have an ordinary birth and ordinary activities, janma, karma, you have to understand divya, divine. It's the same practically, English and Sanskrit. It is all divine. You must understand that. See past the objective. See past the objective plane and see what is the substantial nature of things behind, right? Krishna likes to confuse people. He likes to throw things, you know, he likes to throw things in your way, red herrings. He takes birth in a prison cell, for goodness sake. You know, like that's not what you would expect. He likes to make things a little complicated, right? And fool you. He doesn't want everyone to approach him as God. It's only for those who like really want to know, really want the juice, right? And so he doesn't make it straightforward at all. He's having fun. He likes to play, right? That was our topic a few days ago. He likes to play. He's Leela Purushottam. That's one title or category of divinity of God that Krishna has. He is the supreme entity of play, Leela Purushottam. That's his MO, you know. So, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he has that nice expression, the zigzag line of the truth. Krishna likes to mix it up. Krishna likes to move. He likes to trick you. He likes to keep you on your toes. Oh, where is Krishna? Is this Krishna? Is that Krishna? Or where is reality? Not necessarily what you're seeing with your eyes or physical eyes. So that is also, you know, what is being said here. Yeah, thank you for highlighting that verse, Sivasini Devi. And also,
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for the explanation. Yeah, as you said, the key word is the tattvataha, I think. Isn't it?
That was Gurudev's emphasis. Yeah, the reality. And Subhasinji was also emphasizing these verses 7 and 8. Super famous. Every good Hindu knows these verses in India. You can practically just ask like the next Indian person that you see, you know, they'll know these verses. Highly likely. And they're very beautiful. You know, it's like it's a reassurance. It's a promise that the Lord is making. When things are really in trouble, I come myself to set things right. It's a very beautiful reassurance that the Lord is giving. Sometimes, and it is also said, right? Sometimes he's coming himself, and sometimes he's sending his agents. Dharma samstapanartaya. In order to establish the Dharma. What is the true Dharma? And as was mentioned earlier, right, there's always this necessity, right, for that fresh clarity, fresh reestablishing of the truth, because things are always being degraded, becoming degraded in this plane. Okay. I like this this too, this purified by knowledge and the fire of ordeal in my service. Not gonna be easy, right? Not gonna be easy. Let's see how it says it in Sanskrit. Jnana tapasa. Right, tapasa is referring to austerity. Uta, being purified. This is an encouraging statement here. It's all a process of purification, all the difficulties, challenges that we face on the path, complexities that we face from within and from without. Okay, well, let's continue. Let's we don't have so much time. Maybe we'll listen to 5 more verses, and then we'll go through the translations.
ये यथावं प्रपद्यन्ते तां तथैव भजाम्यहं मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्या पार्थ सर्वथा काङ्क्षन्तः कर्मणां सिद्धिं यजन्त इह देवताः क्षिप्रं हि मानुषे लोके सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा चातुर्वर्ण्यं मया सृष्टं गुणकर्म विभागशः तस्य कर्तारमभिमां विद्ध कर्तारमभयं न मां कर्माणि लिप्यन्ति न मे कर्म फले स्पृहा इति मां योऽभिजानाति कर्मभिर्न सबध्यते एवं ज्ञात्वा कृतं कर्म पूर्वैरपि मुमुक्षुभिः कुरु कर्मैव तस्मात् त्वं पूर्वैः पूर्वतरं कृतम्.
Okay, well, let's chant those together, and then maybe we can ask Marie to kindly read through the translations. Yatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manusya partha sarvashaha Kṛṣṇa karmanam siddhim yadantai devataha Kṣipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja Chaturvanyam maya shishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha Tasya kartaram api mam vidya kartaram avyayam Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spriha iti mam yo bijanati karma birna sabhadyate Evam gyatva pitam karma purverapi mumukshu bihi Guru karmaiva tasmatvam purvai purvataram kritam. Okay. 11. You mind reading through those, Marie?
Howsoever people surrender to me, I accordingly reward them. Being the ultimate goal of all paths, I am the objective to be attained by all. O Partha, all men follow my various paths. Persons who desire the fruit of their actions worship the gods, since in the human plane, actions swiftly bear fruit. The 4 social divisions, classified according to the material modes of nature and corresponding activities, are made manifest by me. Although I am the doer of this, know me to be the non-doer and unchangeable. I am never implicated by action, nor do I desire the fruits of action. One who knows me thus, as the Supreme Lord, transcendental to worldly action, is never bound by action. Knowing this basic principle, seekers of liberation in previous times renounced all fruitive work and performed their duties as a selfless offering to me. Likewise, you should adopt this yoga of selfless action, as did the great saintly persons of yore.
Okay, great. Well, any comments, any shares from our group on these verses? This is, of course, quite an often quoted verse. Suvasni ji,
Can I,
oh, Ramanand.
Shakadi, can you say
Yes.
something? Yeah, done. Hare Krishna. Yeah, I like our Bhagavad Gita as it says, hidden treasure of the sweet absolute. See, Gurumai reminding that he is sweet absolute. He is not just a God. So Prabhupada, I read his books, he always reminding, because people were ignorant, they didn't know so much about Krishna or God. So Prabhupada always reminding, he is supreme personality of Godhead. But Guru Maharaj have shift that he is sweet absolute, he is Rasraj. That's what I just wanted to mention. Then he is more loving. The Guru Maharaj telling he is loving God. He's not like a wrathful God. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for sharing, Prabhu. Suvasni ji, was there anything you wanted to share?
Sorry, I can't find the mute button here. I don't have much to say except on the verse 11. It's also, very important verse, because this is, Krishna is, he's the ultimate, goal for everyone. Although people don't know it, it's just some people, they follow different paths, but he said here, I'm the objective to be obtained by all. So whatever path you follow, it's just that should be the objective for, people have different objectives. In the Vedas, there are so many different things are given, but, Krishna says also in later, Vedesha sarveraham eva vedyo, I'm the person to be known by all the Vedas. So, maybe, if you have more on that, elaborate on that actually. So, because
Sorry, go ahead.
no, that's all. I think probably, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, it's an interesting verse, right? Because there are also some things that are implied here but aren't stated, right? He's saying, like whatever it is that you want, I'll support that, right? Which is a little dangerous actually. Because if you're attracted by some, or like one way one of our sannyasis expressed it, right? If you want to be cheated, then I'll cheat you also. If you want untruth, then I'll give you untruth. Right? I will give you what you want, right? If you are wholeheartedly sincere and you're wholeheartedly giving your whole self, then I will also give my whole self and I will give you the whole truth. But if you are coming and giving one part of yourself, then I will also approach you with one part. And if you're approaching with some, insincere intention, I will also fulfill that desire. So it really comes down to what we actually want ourselves, right? And we're kind of forced to really just look at ourselves and confront ourselves and ask ourselves, what do we actually want? Because that is what the Lord will give us, one way or another. He will give us what we want. And And, we will find, because the thing is, everything is true, right? We can say everything is true. There's a reality to everything, to every belief, to every experience. It's simply that some versions of reality are temporary and some are eternal. Some are based on eternal truth, some are based on temporary truth. So if we are moving forward with some temporary relative conception of reality, we'll find so much confirmation for that. We will find support for whatever we decide to believe, right? So we have to look at our own sincerity, right? Ultimately. We are following him, even in atheism, right? We're told that the Lord appears as Buddha, right? Who's promoting a type of atheism. So God is the original proponent of atheism. And there's a purpose to that. So that's also there for a particular group, right? And this is the thing, it's like you can't get away from Kṛṣṇa. Even if you think you're getting away from him, he's actually given you that path by which you could get away from him. So whether we're conscious or unconscious of it, we are following his path, his system, his arrangement. But there's direct and there's indirect, right? So we want the direct approach, and we want the direct relationship. We want to be a part of that group, right? And it's also very encouraging, right? That if we are approaching the Lord with love, with a true mood of surrender, he will reciprocate to us. He will reciprocate with us, right? He's not stone. He doesn't have a stone heart. There was one comment of Srila Sridhar Maharaj that really touched me. He said, even animals feel some gratitude if we do something for them. So what to speak of the Lord? How broad and magnanimous and loving is his heart. How deeply appreciative is his feeling if we try to approach it, maybe in some very small capacity, but with heart, right? With heart. That's what he's looking for. He's looking for genuine heart. And that may be physically expressed in a very small, insignificant way, but that's not what he's looking to see. And we hear that story, right? Our gurus like to tell of when Kṛṣṇa went to visit Vidura, right, in Dwarka, and Vidura was away, and his wife received Kṛṣṇa, and she's just imagine Kṛṣṇa suddenly appears on your doorstep, and she's just totally overwhelmed and scrambling to find something to offer him, and she grabs some bananas, and she's preparing the bananas, but in her bewilderment, she's giving him the peels and throwing away the bananas, right? And then we hear, in the meantime, Vidura returns home with Narada, and Vidura is like, he sees what's going on. What are you doing, my dear wife? What are you doing? But Narada points out, but look, Kṛṣṇa is very happy. He's eating those peels, right? So that there's that beautiful line, right? In Bhagavatam, Bhava Grahi Janardana. The Bhava, the heart. He is the Lord who's accepting the heart. He's not looking at the physical matter, but he's looking at the heart, the intention. And I like this one comment of Srila Sridhar Maharaj it's in Loving Search for the Lost Servant. And he says, Kṛṣṇa is always looking for the rare services. Like, he's not necessarily looking at the big gold offering in front, right? He wants to look, he likes that, that old lady who like climbed up, 50 stairs, with like a little handful of half-cooked rice, like he's looking for that. He's looking for the rare services, you know, what's really coming from some deep place of heart. And the physical material quality may be poor. Like Sudama Vipra, right? Sudama Vipra, Krishna's old school friends. He's going to see Krishna with some little bag of this low quality rice, but then he sees, oh, Krishna is now prince and he's living in this palace with all these queens and he's trying to hide his little bag of rice. Oh, I can't offer this to Krishna, you know. But Krishna, that's what Krishna wants, so he's grabbing it from him. That's what Krishna wants. So I like that expression in Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And I have to say, it was something that I also experienced with Srila Govinda Maharaj. You know, I experienced it in a very tangible way, you know, because you know, my nature was always a little shy and in the back, but I would see our Gurudev, you know, he would find ways to reciprocate, you know, and he was, I could see he was looking out for that, you know, he appreciated that. I mean, you know, who am I to give myself as an example, but I felt that mood in our Gurudev, like the person who came up front to make the big offering. He wasn't necessarily the most appreciative. He's looking like who's in the corner, you know, and finding, you know, where is that real offering of the heart coming from. So anyway, it is a beautiful encouragement. This is another more positive way in which I started out with a more negative view, right? But it's a beautiful encouragement. And again, there are so many reassurances in Bhagavad Gita. And Subhasini, you were the one who pointed out, what was that expression? Was it in chapter 2? And Krishna says it like 3 or 4 times. Like, what was it? And Marie remembers too. I can't remember what the exact phrase was.
It was something about lamenting. And
Yeah.
it was like
Not
5
so
times in 10
chitam-
verses. Yeah.
Na sochitam marhasi. Yeah. That's, in second chapter.
Wait, say it more loudly, Didi. Say it more loudly.
I think na sochitam arhasi. That's what is, if I
Sochitam
can remember. I can find.
Yeah, it was like at least 3, maybe 4 times. Do not lament.
Yeah, nainam sochitam arhasi. Nainam sochitam arhasi. Yeah. Sochitam is like, you know, grieve. Yeah. And don't grieve, don't lament, that kind of, yeah, phrase. Yeah.
I mean, how loving, you know, how loving. Do not lament, do not lament, do not lament, do not lament. I'm there for you, I'm there for you, I'm there for you. Well, I'll just give, this is one very little example, you know, but I feel a little embarrassed to just tell my own story. But just, this was how Srila Govinda Maharaj he really was like Krishna or Mahaprabhu, like in this loving way, he'd reciprocate. And so just one small example, you know, that I experienced, and it would happen all the time. This is one example. It was 2008 and we're in Govardhan. And I was given the service. I'd actually been away from India for 6 months and I just come back. And so I was still kind of like finding my seva again. And I was able to go to Govardhan also, because normally I would be in Navadvip. But I flew in to meet Gurudev again after being away for 6 months. He was in Govardhan on the Delhi side, which was cool. I got to be there with him at that time. Normally I wouldn't have been able to. But anyway, I was given the service to wash his clothing, which was always like a very prized service. And somehow I got to do it. And I was using one room. It was actually Divya Shakti Didi's room. And was I also sharing it with her? Maybe. But somehow I was washing his clothes in this ground floor room. And you know, every day washing the clothes there, maybe like 3 days have passed by. And then one afternoon, our Gurudev, he's staying on the top floor. And this is 2008. This is a time when he's showing poor health, right? And so going up and down stairs was a challenge, right? And so he'd have two servitors on servitor on either side, someone behind, someone in front. And so he comes down one afternoon with the help of his servitors, and then just when he reaches the ground floor, he suddenly says, "Oh, I need to use the toilet," you know. And so, you know, they don't want to go all the way back up again. And so somehow or other, Divya Shakti's room was chosen. And so and it was exactly that room where I'd been washing his clothes. And you know, there are like so many rooms there on that floor. He has his own room upstairs, and he just suddenly decides as soon as he gets down, he needs to use the toilet, you know, and it happens to be the exact toilet bathroom where I've been washing his clothes every day. And just, you know, in these little ways, you feel this, oh, like, oh, he's reciprocating, you know, he's reciprocating. Of course, it's a very subjective experience, but it gives some, you know, we feel that in our hearts. You know, what can you say? We feel that in our hearts. He was very mystical in that way. He made it wasn't just me, you know, and someone, that's right, Madhusudana Maharaj, he told this nice, he was here a few days ago, and he told this one story. It was one disciple of Srila Govinda Maharaj who he'd done something wrong or something, and our Gurudev had chastised him about it kind of heavily. And that person had left India, and some time went by, and then there was another devotee from that same community visiting. And that devotee asked Madhusudana Maharaj, who was Mahananda at the time, "Oh, you know, such and such devotee, he told me that he was the favorite disciple of Srila Govinda Maharaj, and is that true?" And Madhusudana Maharaj is like thinking, why? How could he think that? You know, but then he thought, like, actually, this is Srila Govinda Maharaj's quality. He makes everybody feel like that. And even though Srila Govinda Maharaj had just like recently chastised that person took it as like an honor. Like, oh, and really, I saw that too. Everyone felt that if they got corrected by Srila Govinda Maharaj, they felt it was a privilege, like it was an expression of intimacy. It was like, oh, like, you know, I got the mercy today, you know, I'm being treated like one of the family. And so it really struck Madhusudana Maharaj that, oh, even someone who's been like chastised by Srila Govinda Maharaj, they feel special, you know. He makes everybody feel special. Very, very amazing quality. And I always remember, Subhasanidhi, how you told me, like, your first meeting with Srila Govinda Maharaj is in the early 90s, right? Like 93 or something like that. And of course you met Srila Govinda Maharaj many times over the years. And then in your very last meeting with him, it was like 2008 or 9, then he made a reference to your very first meeting, which is like 15, 20 years before, you know. He remembered that first conversation.
Yes, yeah, so wonderful. Yes, yeah.
He was
special. It makes everybody feel very, very personal, very, you know, very personal relation, intimate. Yeah.
And even now, like when I look back and I'm like remembering different expressions and different statements he made, you know, I realized, like, actually at that time I didn't really appreciate it. And now, like, so many new layers are being unlocked, right? That only now I can really appreciate what he was saying at that time, or even just his expression. There were so many layers. Now I'm seeing some new layer there. And he has so many thousands of disciples all over the world. Somehow he had this type of capacity. And, you know, and I met quite a number of disciples. They only met him once for a few minutes. and they remember that very deeply, you know, the exact word. Maybe he just said a few words to them, you know, but they're holding that very deeply in their heart. It made a very deep impression on their heart. Such a great person. So it's so beautiful, actually, you know, like when I think of the person of Srila Govinda Maharaj, and you're reading these scriptures, reading Bhagavad Gita, and especially Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's like, oh, he's one of them. You know, like, oh, he's one of them. Like that experience of him, it's like bringing these pages to life. Like he's walking and talking like one of these souls, you know, one of those. And in fact, you know, now I'm thinking that chapter 2 where Krishna is saying, do not lament, do not lament. There, I've heard one recording of Srila Govinda Maharaj. It was actually speaking to a sannyasi who'd had some accident, let's say, he had some fall down, and he's lamenting, and Srila Govinda Maharaj is giving him so much reassurance and encouragement, but the sweetness in his voice. I have I think I even published that recording. I've definitely published an article. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, the sweetness in his voice, it's like so soft and gentle and encouraging. I think it was called Falling Down and Getting Up, something like that. I'm gonna see if I can share the link in our chat. I hope I put the audio there. I just don't remember. But yeah, I just made, when I heard that, I'm like, oh man, it's gonna like floor me here. So like honey, you know, like melted honey. Let me just see if I can find this, and then I'll let you all go. I'm going a little late today. Where is it? Just looking through these articles on jayashri.org. Coming up soon here. Otherwise, I'll just share it in our chat later. I'll have to dig it up. Here it is. Falling down and getting up. Oh, I don't have the audio here. I think it was a really poor quality recording. But I'll share the article here. And he's quoting these beautiful verses. What happened, happens. You know, we don't care. I have so much love for everybody, especially yourself. You know that love. When you come, I feel it is my own Atma, my own soul coming. That is how I see you. This is what he says to this sannyasi. So beautiful. Okay, I'm going to share the link here, and I'm going to try and find the audio. Maybe we can clean it up. It's really so beautiful. Like the tone of his voice. That was in, it was like in the late 80s, I think. That was recorded, or early 90s. 1991. Okay, well, I'll stop there, let you all go. Thank you all for your presence and participation. So wonderful to go through this treasure together.
Thank you, Vishaka. It was really like, I heard a lot of things that I've never heard before. It moved me. Thank you very much. I feel I like that sparkle you're presenting really makes a difference. From dry to not dry. Really, really, it was amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and Lila, all by 3 days grace. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Oh, thank you all for your comments in the chat. Jai Shri Bhakti Daksha Shri Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees, sincere seekers, Ki Jai. Shri Hari Nam Say
Jai.
Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki
Jai.
Jai. Vasudeva
Jai.
Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you, Shaka. Beautiful.
Shaka Didi Maharaj Ki Jai.
See you all next time. Have a beautiful weekend.
Thank you. And thank you.
Dhanyavad.